Anime Addicts, this podcast is brought to you by our lovely Anime Addicts community, keeping this podcast ad-free. If you want to help support the show, get all of our exclusive content, free access to the Discord, show notes, and of course that warm feeling you get inside when you do a good thing, you can go to our Patreon page, or you can go to our website, AAAPodcast.com/join. That'll get you to where you can support the show. You get all of our exclusive goodies. And again, you'll be helping out your favorite podcast. And now, it's time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAAPodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome to the 830th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. It's Caroline, and with me this Memorial Day weekend, it's Mason. Hey, Mason.
That's me. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be on the show with all my good friends on this episode. Oh, I've got so much to talk about, so many juicy tidbits, so many good shows to talk about. I'm just a wellspring of positivity and joy. Isn't that how I always am? Okay.
Are you
maybe
feeling
not,
like
but
a spring of positivity and joy over there, Andrew?
I am sour. I am dour. This rain is a power.
Wow. Yeah, the weather sucks. It's a terrible weekend for Memorial Day weekend. But I think tomorrow is supposed to be a little better for us, Mason. But still, this rain has been non-stop. My garden will be very moist by tomorrow, I have to say. All right, let's
Also, that is English for people. I can't say poor because it doesn't rhyme.
yeah, sour, dour, power. What?
Power.
Oh,
it-
that's what
Sour,
you
dour,
meant.
poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
English is
But I
weird.
couldn't say just poor. So,
All
in case
right.
people are wondering.
Yeah, just letting you guys know you can join us, AAAPodcast.com/join or Patreon.com/AAAPodcast so that you can help us out here and there, but also get a lot of interesting content to add to the main show here. You can find us live here on Twitch every Sunday at 10 a.m.-ish when I'm not fiddling with cameras and trying to make it all work. You can also watch the show in full at youtube.com/AAAPodcast. And you can find us on all the other socials, but we love our Discord. You can join us at AAADiscord.com. In addition to all the chat rooms and friend making and all that stuff, you can participate in Anime Club every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, including on May 27th. We'll be having a anime shorts watch party. So that'll be fun. We'll watch a ton of different short form anime episodes and get an assortment of new things for people to get into. So that will be really fun. But yeah, just join us in that channel anytime and you can get caught up to date with what we are up to. Speaking of which, Mason, what do we have coming up on this episode?
Oh, this episode today, our main topic is actually a listener suggestion from the Discord. So reminder, we actually extract valuable content. We mine you guys. We send you guys deep into the reservoirs of the earth to come up with good ideas, such as the one today, which is where we are going to review predictions made on this podcast many moons ago and see how well they hold up, as well as give you some of our own for looking forward, as well as a review of Journal with Witch. This is an anime that came out a couple months ago, and I think we'll have some pretty interesting thoughts on it, so it should be a good one today.
All right, then let's get started with it.
Oh, 大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
All right, I think the biggest news that we have to talk about today, because boy howdy, there was not a lot interesting stuff to talk about. That being the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. They only just yesterday announced the winners of the 10th annual award ceremony. It was streamed worldwide on the company's YouTube and Twitch channels. Now, we will be having a full in-depth discussion about the awards next week for a topic. So we don't want to get too into the weeds with this one, but let's talk about a few standout categories here. So, of course, there's Anime of the Year, in which the nominees were Dandadan Season 2, Gachakura, My Hero Academia in Final Season, Takopi's Original Sin, The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, and The Summer Hikaru Died. And the winner is My Hero Academia Final Season. So, what are your thoughts, guys?
I will be on next week's episode where we go through all of these winners and critique the selections and some of the picks. So I will try to keep most of my thoughts constrained today. I will say this overall, a pretty good list. And as someone who has not seen the final season of My Hero, I feel like I've heard a lot of positivity around it. And this doesn't upset me.
No, it doesn't upset me either. Like, I just have... I'm not all for having sequel seasons winning things unless they do something really special, big, and eye-catching. And of course, being the final season, I guess that counts. It's just, with this one and some other categories in the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, I kind of wish it went to something a little more original. That being said, final season, it's kind of hard to beat that. And also, of course, it is a popularity contest. Like, it's the people who are voting for these things. So whatever the people watch the most of, that's what's going to win.
And I feel like what I've heard about this final season is that it is an uptick in quality compared to the couple that came before it. And the other thing is, when I go to these mass corporation award shows, like, what am I expecting to find? Some hidden gems that, the cultural elite have decided are the best? No, like, you're getting, like you said, the popular stuff and determining has it held up over the year. And congrats is really all I have to say.
Yeah.
So.
What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, it makes sense. It's the final season. My Hero has been a pretty popular show overall throughout its, I think, this is the 7th or 8th season.
I cannot keep track.
Essentially, but throughout its entire run, essentially, it's been a pretty popular show. It did dip in the middle, it did come back, and then it did some interesting things. And I think this is just like a nice way to send it off, because it was like at least it was like the last 8 or decade of anime. Was it the show essentially for a lot of people? So I can see why it got there. Their list is pretty solid overall, I think, for the shows that they did pick for this year. Last year wasn't exactly I wouldn't say bad year of anime, as we are wanting to say sometimes on the podcast. I would say it was less than stellar. It was it was a very mid-year, and these shows were were the better shows of that year. And so I'm more curious to see, honestly, I'm just more curious to see what the 2026 Crunchyroll Awards are gonna be, because this year seems like they're gonna have like way too many shows, and there are definitely gonna be some feelings hurt, which is gonna be kind of juicy because not everyone can be happy. Also, a side note, this was the 10th one, actually. I think their 10th year of Crunchyroll Awards, which is kind of crazy to me as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I have no issue. I mean, it's not like I have issues. I know that next week with the next one, the best original anime topic, I know one of our co-hosts is going to have a lot to say, I can imagine. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, so you're
Really
gonna have
quick.
to keep a cork in that, Mason. You're gonna have to make sure you don't go explode
first of
on
all,
us.
for the people of the future, when Andrew says 2026, he means the awards that take place in 2027 for the shows that come out in the year 2026. But secondly, Andrew is the co-host who I care about the most for this next category, considering I feel like he genuinely really loved a lot of the picks that didn't win. So take it away, Caroline.
Yeah, so this next category is Best Original Anime. The nominees are Apocalypse Hotel, Digimon Beat Break, Lazarus, Mobile Suit Gundam, Moonrise, and Zenshu. So the winner is
Jaquux.
Jaquux.
There's an X at the end.
Power.
Sorry if I did not know how to pronounce Q.
They say it in the anime. That's how I know. Jaquux.
I did not look up the pronunciation beforehand. I'm so
look,
sorry.
Caroline, if you want to make it easier for you, Jaquax.
No, I just want to make it as
a
obnoxious sounding as possible
Gundam?
because it is the most obnoxiously written. So I'm just meeting its vibe here. The winner of the best original anime of last year is Lazarus. Of all things. Apocalypse Hotel? Come on, people. Ugh.
I mean, Apocalypse Hotel is good. It suffers. I think where it probably doesn't win is because nobody would watch it because it has the cute girl doing cute things vibe if you just look at it from the outside, which probably pushed a lot of people from just watching it in the first place. And it is a slow anime. And remember, this is the Crunchyroll Awards people. These are the people who mostly watch mainstream things and whatever Crunchyroll pushes to them, which is a lot of isekai, like high action kind of shows more often than not. So, and Lazarus, for the most part, kind of actually fits into this vibe, funny enough. So I get it. I watched at least a couple of episodes of every show on this list, except for Lazarus, funny enough. I have seen nothing of Lazarus. All I have is the background information that you guys spew to me, and, Raggedy, the person I was mentioning, who's going to have a lot to say, and his extreme hate for this show. I may be saying extreme, but it comes off as extreme hate for this show.
Yeah, so I feel like that's the one that most people are talking about because while apparently a lot of people have seen Lazarus, not a lot of people liked Lazarus, despite the fact that winning this category. And then next up is Best Drama, which I brought up because I thought that this category had so many unique and good dramas in it. We got Aunt Shirley, Blue Box, Orb, Takopi's Original Sin, The Apothecary Diary Season 2, and The Summer Hikaru Died. And the winner is The Apothecary Diaries Season 2. However, even though, I fucking love The Apothecary Diaries, I would have put Anne Shirley, Orb, The Summer Hikaru Died, and if I watched it, probably Takopi's over it in winning this category. Just because we already had Season 1. It won a lot of stuff. Season 2 is good, but it's, not that much of...
It's more of the same. It's an iterative sequel.
Give it to Takopi. Takopi did everything that it could to be dramatic, I'm sure, if I had seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I think Apothecary Diaries, I wouldn't say is the worst show on this list, because that would be crazy to say. I don't think it's bad. I think it is definitely weaker than Season 1, and I think from the bits I've seen of these other shows, I think they do something a lot more, except for maybe Blue Box. Blue Box is a pretty standard
rom-com
romance anime. So I wouldn't give it best drama because there's not really much drama in it, to be honest. But I would say things that we even talked about in the podcast that I've heard about. Orb, I think, would have probably gotten some really good.
Yeah.
Should have probably gotten this. I haven't seen Anne Shirley, but I have read the original Anne of Green Gable book, the first book. And it's a pretty dramatic story at points. The Summer Hikaru Died is not dripping with drama, but it's to be fair, if there was a horror category, I think it probably would have done better because it does have really good horror moments. And I've seen half the show, and I know you both reviewed it for the podcast as well. So, and I haven't seen Takopi's. So I'm you know what, Apothecary, there's no bad answers except for Blue Box in this category. And I don't hate Blue Box. I actually enjoyed the show. I just don't think it really should have been in this category, to be honest, especially with all the other ones that are in here.
I think my big dilemma is that they keep on calling it best of this category, when in actuality it's just most popular. So maybe we should just call it most popular drama, most popular original anime.
Look through the results besides the 3 shows you've shown here, but in all of these so far, and I'm guessing the trend will continue when we analyze it deeply next week, is that all 3 of these winners, like you said, are just the ones that got pushed the most. Lazarus had ads on network TV in sports games. Apothecary Diaries is mega popular. My Hero Academia has been a juggernaut for a decade now. So none of this is surprising. It all kind of fits with, like you said, popularity, which is what we all know, but we still like complaining about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's just a little tasting of what will be talked about more in depth next week. Probably should have been this week, but we got the days wrong a little bit on when we'd be able to talk about the awards. So it'll be next week.
Inside Baseball weeks ago, Raggedy was like, "Oh, the awards are going to be like during the podcast on Sunday. Like, do you guys want to like live react to it?" And I was like, "No, we don't want to do that. Like, we'll just do it, the next week." And then it turns out, it actually came out the day before because Japanese time is confusing, but doesn't matter. We'll get it done in the future. We're all behind, so.
You think they would have properly shown all the multiple times across the multiple time zones, as anime is this globalized thing? But there's only so much you can accept from Crunchyroll. Please sponsor us, Crunchyroll. We love you.
Oh, no. If we had Crunchyroll sponsor us, we'd be slowly turning orange, I think.
If we had a Crunchyroll sponsorship, I would sell my soul for a Crunchyroll sponsorship.
You've heard it here.
So, but until you buy my soul, Crunchyroll, I will shit talk you.
How much is your soul
You know what you
worth?
need to do to stop it.
Andrew, put a number on it. How much is your soul worth?
Oh, that
Flower
is so
73.
I mean, like,
a free
I
membership.
have to be.
I think that's what it is.
I think it's way worth way more than just a free membership. First of all, I'm talking like an actual sponsorship. We're talking like 5 figures here at least for the podcast, okay? And I said for the podcast, not just for me. That's how much I'm willing to sacrifice for the podcast.
Wow.
Okay.
I never thought we'd be using your soul as a bargaining unit.
Hell yeah, 5 figures plus free memberships plus free membership giveaways that we can give to our fans, okay? And invitations to Crunchyroll events at conventions. On top of that, all expenses paid.
And we get to present an award.
All expenses paid, not for those events, just all expenses.
Obviously within reason. You can't all expenses paid doesn't mean I can order anything. It just means I can order the basic stuff within reason.
All right.
I'm not that greedy, guys.
Well, you heard
He's
it
like,
here.
I would like 1 item from your shop per month on the house.
Crunchyroll, you got our pitch here. We're happy to negotiate higher rewards for us. Andrew, take it away.
Yeah, so this is going to be depressing, surprisingly more so than the Crunchyroll Awards that we just talked about. I am a fan of Mecha. I'm a fan of Gundam. I've been watching it for as long as I can remember. And there's this thing that they had in Japan and Diver Bay in Odaiba called the Gundam statue. Very famous landmark for people who want to make a pilgrimage out to Japan who love mecha. Okay. And in 2017, when we did the podcast trip ages ago, I the week after everybody left, I was there for an extra week. I went to Diver Bay and I stood in front of the platform where the Gundam statue was, because during the period of time we were in Japan was part of the 3-month window that they were moving the statue from the original Gundam statue from where it was to some other location. I don't remember. I think it may be Fukuoka. And they were putting up the unicorn. So in that 3-month period, I was in Japan, so I did not get to see it. I was planning on going to Japan next year as my celebration for my 40th birthday. Yes, I am old, to what you kids would call old, but I am actually young at heart. And guess what I found out this past week? That at the end of in August, they will be removing the Unicorn Gundam statue in preparations to put up something for the 50th anniversary. So by the time I go to Japan in 2027, there will be no Gundam statue as well. And what is this? No Gundam statue for Friggy. They hate it. And so I will probably have gone to Japan twice in my lifetime and no Gundam statue. to see or have a picture for. I do have a picture of where it should be, so I'll probably do that again when I go. A picture of me standing where there should have been a Gundam statue here, but I'm just not that lucky. So yeah, that's my news for the week. Also, they announced a whole bunch of things for the Gundam anniversary. For the 50th anniversary, they're going to be remaking the original show. They're going to be doing a new Gundam Wing project and I think a new a Gundam Seed prequel project as well, from my understanding. So there's a lot of interesting things coming for the 50th anniversary. Gundam really likes to do things on the Gundam. Japan seems to really like to do the big things on the 10s anniversaries. So that's going to be kind of fascinating because we didn't get much for the 45th, but it seems like they're going to do a lot for the 50th, and 50 is a big number as well. So yeah,
You led that story off with something even more sad than the Crunchyroll Awards, and then you said, "I am a mecha fan," and I thought you could have just stopped right there. But
I hate you, Mason.
I mean, I assume it's going to be what, 3 to 8 months until another Gundam takes its place. So maybe, you never know.
Well, they announced that they are looking. So the problem is they don't have a direct replacement, which means I think it's going to
They
take
don't have any
longer than
Gundams
that.
just laying around.
So I don't know why they're taking it out if they don't have something to replace it with, but they're like looking into options, was what was written in the article that I got from the Japan Times. So
I think you should file a
yeah.
formal letter of complaint.
Yeah, or I convince my friends to pay for a trip to Japan just so I can go see it for a day and come back. I'm kidding. We should move on.
No, you're not. Okay, let's move on to our main topic of today. Now that I have again fixed the cameras, because I just realized that this entire time Andrew's card was on top of Mason and Mason's card was on top of Andrew's.
A true tragedy. Well,
That's
I
never
talked about the
happened
main
before.
topic. Caroline can share her screen with us in the call so we can listen to audio, because we have a couple clips to play.
Oh, right. Oh, is this
While
going to mess
she's-
up the cameras again?
No, because you're going to hit the button that says hide my screen. But it should all work out. Oh, perfect. Now we'll be able to hopefully hear all the drops going on.
Hide my screen.
No, you
How
don't
do I
want to
do
share your
that?
screen. You want to share the window of whatever you're using to play the drops.
Oh, shoot.
All of
yeah.
this will get edited in post. Maybe. We'll see. This is choice content. But I'm going to go ahead while she figures this out. So, our main topic this week is past predictions. This came from the user Disciple in the Discord, so big thank you for this. And they wrote, "Hey y'all, the 45th episode of the podcast topic was predicting the state of anime in 10 years. As that episode was in 2010 roughly, it would be cool to compare the takes given back then to what actually has unfolded, also predicting the next decade from now." So, first of all, just the fact that we can say the 45th episode of this podcast was 15 years ago is just a testament to how long ago
Almost
it's been going
800
on.
episodes ago, too.
The grind that Mitch has been, like 8,000 episodes ago. So, I know 2010 doesn't sound that long ago.
I was 13 in 2010. I was 13 years old, and I was in middle school.
This is what the AAA podcast sounded like in 2010. Caroline, can you play clip number 0, please?
Sure.
This is episode 45 of Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast, and I am one of your lovely hosts, Kimiko, along with
Mitsugi.
Mitsugi.
Mitsugi with... We did not have Mitz on this episode, 1, because the audio quality would have broken his brain. Also, I didn't want any defense for these predictions in place. We wanted to experience it raw, but it was very nostalgic going back to listen to this old-timey episode back when we had things like forums and stuff. And I know people are going to be like, oh, Discord the forum. It's not the same. But to give you a better sense of what 2010 was like in anime time, we were getting shows like Angel Beats, Haruhi, Durarara, Bakuman, High School of the Dead, Maid-sama, Oreimo. In the universe at large, the first iPad and the first like social media platforms like Instagram were launching. We were getting the Vancouver Winter Olympics. And as referenced in our review later, Justin Bieber's song Baby was released. So it's been a while, and 15 years ago, a lot has changed. So what I've done is I've collected 6 predictions from that episode. We're going to listen to them, and we're going to determine how good of a prediction they were, and then we'll make some of our own predictions for 2040. Does that work for everyone?
Sure thing.
And I will mention, I want big, bold predictions, because some of the predictions that I did not include in our episode today were pretty lukewarm, such as one of Kimiko's, which is, oh, the anime fandom is either going to get bigger or smaller. Come on. I want objective things that are going to make us look dumb. So, if we're all ready, let's play the first prediction.
Our main topic is going to be, where do you see anime in 10 years?
Right now, anime is being outsourced from other countries, not in Japan. Not a lot of anime is not being made in Japan right now. It's being made in Korea. It's being made in China. And one thing you're going to notice in 10 years is that as the standard of living continues to rise in countries like China, it's no longer going to be affordable to make animation in those countries either. So you're probably going to find animation production being moved to other countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia.
So yeah, Africa. Do we think...
This is a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, okay. I was going to say, this is not an odd prediction to make back in 2009 when you think about it, because that's just how the cookie was crumbling, right? You know, as quality of life gets better, they just find another sweatshop they can go use. Funny enough, it didn't happen, I think, as much as I think Mitz was predicting back then, because a lot of it's still being done in China and Korea as well, as if I'm not mistaken. Actually, a lot of American animation has also moved over to Korea as well, because it's still insanely cheap to produce over there. So
I would say I agree with Friggy. I think we've pretty much contained, if you want to call it that, most of anime or anime adjacent material to Japan, China, or Korea. I feel like anime has gotten more global in creators involved, but a lot of those folks have come into those countries to work on those properties, and not, like you said, mass sweatshop deportation of talent to other places. And we've just gotten more anime coming out of Japan, China, and Korea. So I feel like it's remained pretty consistent, and I could see this, maybe becoming a thing down the line. I don't think we're ever going to go there. I think it's stayed pretty consistent in those countries, and this prediction, while bold, has not come to fruition.
All right, let's move on to the next clip number 2.
Art and technology, because as more and more technology becomes available, more and more techniques can be achieved, and it uses effects that you couldn't have dreamed of achieving. But, they're able to do it now because of computers, and because of the fact that they've completely changed the way animation is made. Now we're going to see things like 3D somehow being integrated into anime.
Well, it's true.
Are we getting 3D CG anime these days, folks?
We are, and I think that it's not looking too shabby these days.
Yeah, so in the context of this episode, they were talking about the first thing that they were noticing and stuff like Gankutsuo as being, how they did the patterning of people's dresses and stuff. But, CG has been around since the early 2000s with stuff like Malice Doll, Yukikaze, the Final Fantasy Advent Children movie thing, Freedom. Like, those are all in place back when this episode was recorded. But I feel like CG has become more prevalent, not just in full CG shows from stuff like Polygon and Orange, but just in the general background and use in everyday anime as well. For better or worse, you could argue, but I would say, no surprise, this prediction is accurate. What do you guys think?
Yeah, essentially it is. It's not a crazy prediction to make. It's a pretty bog standard one. You kind of go, it's like, here's the technology that they're using that's been more or less being perfected in the West, and it's now being imported into the East. And it's a pretty logical statement that more and more anime were going to be CG. We did go through a rough patch there, like a pretty rough patch. But now I think, when they say computer aided, I mean, anime is essentially only made on computers now.
Yeah, just
So-
if you look at like the use of cells being transformed into digital coloring and editing and stuff, like all of that is computer aided. And just like any other artistic medium, it's sometimes used well, it's sometimes used poorly. But overall, I feel like it hasn't, while, you know, there is nostalgia and some of that old stuff just does look great, it has allowed for so much more to get made and in a cheaper way. So it's let anime spread. So I'm all for it.
All right, should we go on to the next clip?
Yeah. So they're one for two.
If it does come to pass that Funimation ends up being one of the only companies left, what you're gonna have a couple things happen. First, there's going to be basically Funimation will be able to do whatever they want with pricing, and also probably even more alarming would be the complacency that you would see with the company. If there's no competition, then there's no reason for that company to strive to innovate.
So,
Caroline, how's Funimation doing these days?
doing great. A lot of decent points in this prediction, however, just replace every word of Funimation with Crunchyroll, and there you have it.
Well, you got to remember, at that time, Crunchyroll wasn't even legit yet.
Yeah, I was just
Like,
looking up what year they became legit.
Yeah, they weren't legit yet. Like, there wasn't much on there. They were just starting out. I know this because I went on it for my anime club. Every now and then I found some anime there because it was just easy to pull that because they had whatever. But yeah, like Funimation was one of the, I think at that point there was maybe a couple of companies left at most. But I mean, Funimation was looking to be like the only anime company left for the foreseeable future. It wasn't a wrong thought process. It kind of did happen, just like Caroline said, replace Funimation with Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I'm going
so
to give Mitz a
Crunchyroll-
50% accurate on this one. Go ahead, Caroline.
Crunchyroll became fully legal between 2008 and 2009. And then
So it was
they
just in
announced
its
a deal to
infancy.
host episodes of Naruto Shippuden in 2009. So I guess that might have been their skyrocketing moment.
Yeah, and for reference, Netflix had always been around as like a physical disc distributing service, turned to streaming in 2007, but they probably didn't get anime for a bit later. So I do think Mitz is right in just general monopolies of the market, just not a lot of competition breeds a substandard product. It's just the fact that I'm hearing about Funimation in the year of our Lord 2026 is a hoot and a holler. So
Can I just have
we'll
like
give them
a subtle
points.
hot take here? Not like
Yeah.
necessarily a prediction. It's just that I recently had to watch something on High Dive. And recently on Crunchyroll, they updated the system to be a little annoying. Like it's not working as well as it had been in the past for me. And now High Dive has updated and it's working a little better than it used to be before. So they're going in opposite directions. Why am I now preferring High Dive?
It's kind of hard for High Dive not to get better because it's starting from such a low position to begin with in terms of service. Like it can only improve. And I can say the same about Crunchyroll, but somehow they keep finding ways to make it worse. And I don't get it either. It's not a hot take, Caroline.
No, it's just like I never hear. I haven't heard anybody say High Dive is doing better. It's just eternally in that status of being terrible.
Because no one's looking at High Dive.
I know. I'm surprised I still have a High Dive account, to be honest.
You can write it off your taxes.
I do.
Perfect. It saves you tens of dollars a year.
Okay, next clip.
But as the internet continues to improve in speed, And as more and more people catch on that it's on the internet, I think that the dubbing houses like Funimation are going to have an even harder time in the future. I honestly think that it's not impossible to see English dubbing completely wiped out in the next decade.
I love this take. Not because I think it's right, but just there will be no more English dubs.
That was such a bad take, even then.
I mean, Funimation really isn't doing much, but no,
It's
like
just that
English
no-
dubs is so essential
No fans
too.
want to put in the work to do a legit dub when they can do a fun one, and that's what they're doing. It's like the abridged versions and fun and funny dubbing and all that stuff.
The thing is, back then people were actually making legitimate attempts at actual dubs, especially for a lot of shows that were not as popular. People were actually making legitimate attempts. I remember back in the day there were, audition to be in this, anime dub, that fan dub that we're doing, that was attempting to be. Heck, didn't even the podcast try something like that at some point?
We
I don't
talked
know.
about doing
I
one for
still
Birdie
think
Wing
it
on
would
the
be
Discord.
so funny. I still
No, I
am
mean-
completely down for a group dubbing of an episode
Birdie
of a show.
Wing.
Oh no, I think we actually tried that the podcast itself, I think, tried to do it not too long in that time period. I remember there's I think auditions to be voices in, I think, an episode dubbing that I think they were trying to do. I feel like I remember this for some reason. Unfortunately, you don't have Mitz here who would actually have that information right at hand. And Mason, as co-host, who is the historian of the podcast co-host, I'm surprised you don't have that information. But actually, we did try that, I think, in the past as a podcast, and you can tell I've been listening to the podcast for a long time. With
We need Icy Rose or Astrophysics there to really let us know what's going on.
But going back to the actual take where it's no more English dubs, I think that is actually a surprisingly bad take from it, and I think that just shows more into his bias. It feels like more than anything, because in order to globalize, you would essentially have to produce anime in English in an easy to consume format. And I think Mitch would even say now that was a bad take, and he would have hated that because as he watches so much more anime dubbed now than before.
Imagine if he actually had predicted that the becoming of AI dubbing. That would have been funny.
Yeah, I guess in a sense it's starting to maybe become a thing. Nonetheless, I love the take because it's bold, and that's what I'm looking for from us. So,
I don't know if I have
swing and a miss
takes for this one, so don't get your hopes up, Mason. All right, next one.
Okay.
Well, what you might have happen is you might end up seeing some of these big fan subber houses becoming the new studios. Think about that. And they're doing it quickly because these episodes come out a mere handful of days after they come out in Japan. You might find that people start charging for fan subs in the future.
Nah.
Yeah, no.
I'm not paying for
thing...
somebody to say translator's note. What was it? Blah, blah, blah. And I know there's a meme for
Teikaku means plan.
Teikaku means plan. Yeah.
Well, what was it? Yeah.
Oh, people die when they're... Or no, that's not a
People
translator.
die when they're killed.
No. That's just a funny thing.
Yeah, it was translator note, nakama means a family or friend, and so they just don't translate it. It's you're my nakama.
Yeah.
Actually, I could kind of go for one of those sometime. It's just so funny to watch, but I wouldn't pay for it.
If you want those translator notes, go watch the original 40-something episode run of Gintama, where every joke has a translator note, and then the translator note of the translator note, all the way down, just to explain what they're saying, and then why it's funny, what cultural reference they're making. But besides that, I feel like most fan subs, and I'm not super deep in this community, so forgive me if I'm a little bit off, but most fan subs, the people who are ripping it from Netflix, Crunchyroll, whatever streaming services, and putting it up with restylized stuff, they're usually using the same text as the source they got it from. They're not fan subbing it quite the same way. Maybe a couple edits here and there, but a lot of the fan subs are using the official text and just restyling it. Yes, you do have folks that are going out to do it, and they're probably getting contributions from people who want to support them, but it's not really, no one's paying for that. Spend 50 cents to get the text for this? That's not a thing that's happening. So
Yeah,
Especially
you're
when-
only really.
Sorry,
Go ahead, Caroline.
Oh, thank you. Especially when like Crunchyroll has been pretty good with their simulcasting. With some issues here and there, but generally speaking, you get your subs pretty quick.
Yeah, fan subbing is interesting because before it took forever for anime to come out, and fan sub was like the quickest way. But simul subs definitely did fix that a whole bunch. The other thing about it, interestingly enough, is that fan subbing is essentially been pushed out to the niches. So the shows that don't get, that don't get picked up, which is the very few niche shows, honestly, at this point, because almost everything is getting picked up. Essentially, globalization of anime and like the expansion of it has essentially led to a lot of this stuff is actually being done officially now, which is kind of interesting. And remember, fan subbing was never supposed to sort of replace, like, the piracy wasn't to prevent the company from making money. It was to bring anime to more people and make it more accessible. And if the companies are doing it, then there's less people who need to do it. And a lot of these fan subbers actually ended up becoming actual employees until they were probably fired in some weird layoff because they wanted to use AI. But yeah, it's a lot of that. And you find a lot of that fan subbing now happens for a lot of and even I would even say in the tokusatsu community, it used to be one of those things like, Super Sentai was actually a fan sub for a while until it actually started getting more Western, and even before its death. Kamen Rider is now trying to be globalized, so like they officially release it on YouTube now, the new season of the show with subtitles for Western audiences. People are paying for fan subs, as long as you take the official company that may have fans within it doing the subbing.
Just look at Crunchyroll. They were the fan stealing stuff until they became authentic and became the way of delivering the product. I think the availability of anime these days is something that it's hard to retrospectively account for. Like, you'd go to message boards and be like, oh, there's this new great anime coming out called Haru, and okay, cool, where do I watch it? It's going to take, who knows, it's a fan subbing effort. And I just like this prediction because he's like, oh, it'll take days to watch your favorite anime. Like, no, it's so instant because it's mostly through corporate means these days. So for better or worse, there's more anime and more people can watch it, whether those shows are as good or bad or whatever, but it's all there. It's all available for the most part. And that's,
honestly, if you'd asked me in high school, I said anime was going to become a big thing.
Wow. You started.
That's what I was saying in high school. And to
Nailed
be
it.
honest,
What a
when I
trendsetter.
said it, I am a trendsetter. Just no one was there to hear me or listen to me or anything. And I actually thought I'd be at the forefront of it. And I ended up on this podcast. I kid. I love you guys.
hey, I hear we have a 5-digit Crunchyroll
Yeah,
negotiation in the
sponsor us.
works.
Sponsor us.
All right, last clip.
Let's get to our last one.
And the last thing that I have is I think there's going to be a revolution in anime subject matter. Right now, we're seeing practically every single anime is about schools. I expect that to peter off and turn into something new, and I don't really know what that is. And I'm not even talking about Moe and all this. Moe is always going to be around.
All right, and I believe you've already made a little bit of a inclination in our notes, Mason, what that could possibly be these days.
Yeah,
It's such a loose
Isekai
word.
was the first thing that came to my mind, but I feel like even Isekai is kind of not falling off, but receding into just this more general fantasy worlds as of late. So
that actually leads into one of the takes I'm going to make later.
Okay.
I have a very similar take to this, but I actually have a more nuanced version of this take, essentially.
Well, I think that's a perfect bridge then to, if you want to go into your predictions for 2040, kind of addressing this one and going on to where you're thinking things will
Mitz's
go.
take was I say lukewarm because it's just like anime is gonna a new genre is gonna come up and play,
There
which is
are
like the most
trends.
obvious thing.
Wow.
It just happens, right? My take is similar in the sense that a new genres are going to shift again because we are seeing that right now. But anime is actually and these genres we're in the point where it's all very cyclical, right? And we're
Mhm.
actually seeing essentially we're following the same trend. The 80s, the late 80s and early 90s were filled with a lot of fantasy isekai type stories that led into the mecha revolution of the late 90s into the early 2000s, which led into the more cyberpunky then slash moe-ification of anime in the early 2000s, which led to this take there's going to be something. And since we've gotten through isekai, which is almost like fantasy then shifted into actual fantasy, which I call video game fantasy for the most part, because a lot of them are just playing off of video game tropes now as fantasy. I can't say what the next thing is because it's kind of hard to predict, but we're gonna see some mutation of the sci-fi mecha formula, and we're gonna see an expansion of sci-fi shows that are coming over the next 10 to 15 years, because essentially we are running out of, and even I think, I think Kanakawa mentioned that essentially they probably went in a little bit too hard on isekais as well, and that it's actually probably there's such a saturation of the genre that people are going to want something different. And I think what actually that means is we're headed back for a sci-fi and ideally a mecha revolution in like I would say in the next, so we're towards the end where now everything's fantasy. Fantasy is going to lead into more sci-fi. So we're going to get a lot more sci-fi shows, I feel like, which will give us more mecha shows. And then probably by 2040, we will be right back in whatever the mutation of the moification of anime is going to be, essentially. Because it's all cyclical.
Speaking of, like, cyclical being like, think of like art and modernism, and then modernism becomes way too popular and saturated, and then you get into postmodernism, which is basically a satirization of modernism. Like, this is like, I am not an artist by any means, but this was my understanding of these eras of art. So if we were just entering the modernism of isekai when these clips were played, we are now in the postmodernism, or towards the end of it, I think, because, you know, now we got isekais that are parroting against themselves and just trying to find little ways to tweak the formula so it's something fresher for people who are watching it. And now I feel like it's not going to be too long until something else kind of takes its place, which I think, Friggy, you had a good idea. I think it could also be like 90s shoujo or something like that, because we just recently like had Hamanakimi, which I think could be just an example of what more shows could be like if they went back into the 90s. Or thinking like Go For It Nakamura, who is obviously it's a newer manga series, but calls upon the artistic choices of 80s, 90s manga and shoujo and such like that. So I think that could just be calling upon the nostalgia of those eras and bringing it back.
I feel like by then we'll have moved on past the 90s. Like right now, at the same rate, we're seeing all these remakes being done. I think we're going to get into the remakes of the 2010s content. I think we're going to get the Death Note, the Toradora, the Steins Gate remakes that people have been clamoring for.
The Steins Gate remake already, didn't they?
Well, they did Steins Gate Zero, but that's different. So I think the big prediction, in some ways a negative one, is looking at AI and should it be as forced into everything as it no doubt certainly will. I think it's going to blur the lines between live action and video games and animation. I think viewers are going to be able to live direct or play and be more interactive and have their anime catered to them on a personal level. And this scenario is no longer going to challenge creators, audiences, or characters, as people will just be able to make their shows for them and slop together their self-insert MCs to exists in this world. And I think this is going to completely disrupt the typical seasonal format, as this is going to be like made to order anime content for people to just exist in. Like, I think the current setup that we know is just going to be completely broken down.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like the moment anybody says AI in a discussion about art or media or anything, people jump on it and they will tear it apart. Especially like with the AI
They
dubbing.
should.
They should.
But
At
15 years of this being slammed down the gullet of cultural identity is going to wear down enough people that it is going to be a thing.
I think it will be a thing in some shape or form, but I have a little bit more faith in the anime community that if it comes to the point where AI is directly making the shows or directly making the dubs or directly making anything except for maybe some background art or something, which obviously we don't love, but that might be, I feel like they would only show themselves in relatively minor forms, if anything, in the next 14 years.
Caroline, I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
I would ideally like that. I think what we're going to see is this is essentially the evolution of the computer-assisted trope, is essentially the ideal form of what I hope we get out of AI. And I don't particularly want AI in anime, but if we're going to get anything, I would hope for like what we've gotten with sort of like the sort of the computer assisted. I don't think it should be making it. I think there should be some creative input by a human, obviously, for the most part, that has some creative artistry to it. I do, maybe Mason, your made to order anime might not be on the seasonal charts, or people will try to put it, but what will happen is once it meets reality, it's probably going to fail pretty harshly. So we might get some, I feel like in maybe the next 5 years, as AI is still pretty fresh, we're going to get maybe a season where like a quarter of the shows are just fully AI produced. And that will basically be the inflection point on whether that works or not. Because remember, all it takes is one show to massively succeed, to be the genre definer, and for us to get more of the show made in that way, because the lesson they never take is why was that popular, is that was popular, let's just make more of that, right? Like when you look at genre definers as like for neo isekai, like Sword Art Online, it's not like people just made more isekai because isekai did well, isekai is what is the thing. And so we'll see if one AI show basically genre defines, like maybe Attack on Titan or something, what for anime, will then end up in that apocalyptic world of AI produced anime in the 2030s, in the mid. But I think our inflection point will be determined within the next 5 years, I think, on that.
Another thing I was thinking about, kind of switching topics here, is how many Western celebrities are now openly talking about that they like anime, they're into anime, like they'll bring it up into interviews, like, oh, what anime are you watching, kind of thing. I think that they're going to be the new spokespeople for certain shows to promote these shows from Japan even into Western countries.
Yeah.
You're thinking hard on this one. I can already tell you're trying to find a disagreement here.
No. Like I think we're, like you said, they're already kind of there. The anime fans walk among us, and they are popular folks and persuasive people in our society and culture. I'm just trying to think like how that would get utilized 15 years from now. Like I don't expect them to be like on Disney Channel being like, "Hey, I'm Michael B. Jordan, and I want you to check out the sequel to the remake of Gunbuster coming to you on Radio Disney." Like, I don't.
More like,
more, I guess, just like TikTok, Instagrams, like evolution of just people being like, "Hey, check out this show. I'm mega popular celebrity number 3." Like,
yeah,
do it.
I mean,
yeah.
I think celebrity endorsement is going to be a thing. I don't know if it's going to be. I think it'll drive the fact that maybe a couple of anime are going to get made, maybe. but that is because they're going to be putting their own money into it for the most part, I think.
Like they're involved
So
with it.
Yeah, they'll become
which you do see with some of
producers.
the stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of producers. They'll try to produce some certain anime or manga that they really liked. But here's my actual. Let's unless there's anything else you want to say, I can switch to a new hot take.
Go ahead.
For what we is. So this is actually, I don't know if it's a hot take, but this is my actual take. I think this is my version of there's going to be more or less anime in the future. I actually think in 2040 we're going to actually hit a contraction of anime. By 2040 there's going to be a huge contraction of anime because the amount of studios that we have currently is unsustainable. And I think what's going to happen is a lot of studios which have separated out are actually going to merge like maybe new configurations or whatever. But I think we're going to end up essentially back at, instead of having as much anime in a season of 2026 as there was in the whole year of 2000, I think we're going to go back to maybe 2000, mid 2000s level of anime being produced again, because it's just unsustainable to produce this much anime, which means we'll probably get less anime, but a lot more of it is going to be higher quality. There'll still be duds because bad studios are always going to be bad studios, but I think we're actually looking towards a contraction, like a company contraction of anime, as in there's going to be like I said, less anime studios.
Yeah, this bubble's gonna pop at some point. It's just too much.
Yeah.
And not enough money to go around.
Yeah. Irrespective of AI, by the way, I think like they're going to just like merge studios again.
I feel like, to play devil's advocate, there will be more anime because anime is going to turn much more short form content. And you're not going to get 12 episode, 22-minute odysseys. I think it's going to be much more 6 episode, 2-minute long things. And
2
people will just be able to turn out. Yeah.
What are they going to do in 2 minutes?
Not much. But I feel like, just with all the doom and gloom of like attention span and comprehension and just what we've seen develop in folks today, I think people are going to realize, oh, we don't need to spend so much time to get people's interest and TikTokify anime to become just more rapid fire. But I think Crunchyroll is going to be completely subsumed into Netflix, which maybe itself is going to change its name 3 times and then become a subsidiary of a larger Chinese corporation. And that's going to be the global standard.
Yep.
Of anime distribution.
Yeah, I was going to say the destruction of Crunchyroll is another one I was toying around with.
Yeah, there's no way Crunchyroll survives 15 years from now.
I don't know. Because Crunchyroll grew up on the streets. I think it knows how to survive.
It'll knife a fool. It'll protect its own.
I don't know, because I was also thinking like, okay, what is TV in the West doing right now? Every TV channel has a streaming service. What if it happened in reverse? What if Crunchyroll came out with a TV channel and then it just got even more, like more subscriptions on top of other subscriptions on top of there? No? You don't think so?
I mean, like, it kind of has its own channel in the sense of you pay for it as an independent thing, but yeah, I don't see it surviving.
There we go. All right.
Go for it.
This is what we all have been missing. You wanted a wacky hot take? Okay.
I want a whopper to end this episode.
Okay. So in 2030, the nukes are going to drop, causing a Fallout style apocalypse.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Forcing everyone who used to watch anime on streaming services when they're down in the vault to only have access to the physical libraries of the few, because they did not transfer the media. And thus, in the lead up to the nukes dropping, a lot of these companies are going to start allowing print on demand anime to come back, bringing back physical media, and the great anime streaming age will die, bringing us the return of the greatness of physical media.
In that case, we need to get this episode on tape fast. So
Yeah,
we
if anyone
can
wants
look
to
back
take
at
this,
it later. After the nukes.
download the YouTube, put it on a VCR.
No, or take the audio and put it on a cassette tape.
Our main
That
character is
native
just gonna have like
Put it in a time capsule, bury it.
a 3 terabyte like USB around their neck that like holds the 50 best anime ever made, and that's like sought after in like the mutant circles of like the streets of Philadelphia.
And there you have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I completely agree. And I think that's a good way to end our bold predictions for 2040 on. Let us know in the Discord, in the chat, what you guys have for your big predictions. And that was good. Thank you guys for doing that. That was fun.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how all these things work out.
Well, let me read a trivia question for you guys while we get into our news break. In Journal with Wit, Asa's mom was going to give Asa her diary when Asa turned what age? We'll give you the answer in just a bit, so stay tuned.
Hey Anime Addicts, it's Caroline and this is your anime news break. The official website for Takopi's Original Sin has announced that the anime will have a compilation film. The film, titled Takopi's Original Sin, Thank You, See You Tomorrow, will compile the 6 episodes and include new scenes. The notoriously depressing 6-episode series premiered on June 28, 2025, and follows the deceptively cute alien Takopi, who lands on Earth and meets a depressed Earthling named Shizuka. Determined to make her smile, Takopi learns quickly that time travel can't heal all wounds. No release date on the film yet, but at least you can look forward to experiencing it all again in a more condensed form. Up next in the news, a Japanese hip-hop group named Homemade Kazoku has announced that the group will be making a return to music. If you're wondering who the heck is Homemade Kazoku, you might have heard of their songs while watching Bleach, Eureka 7, or Naruto Shippuden. They went on hiatus in 2016, but made a surprise announcement in April that they would be appearing in music festivals this summer. Now that they are officially back, maybe you'll hear from them once again in future anime. Now we have some unfortunate news. It has been announced that voice actor Takahiro Fujiwara has passed away on May 14th at just 43 years old. Fujiwara had voiced the character Kanjo in the Kingdom anime, but had to step down from the role in August of last year due to health reasons. Fujiwara is also known for his roles as Kurogiri in My Hero Academia, Zenzo Inokai in the Laughing Under the Clouds TV anime and film series, Jerome Gizbat in Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, and Eikichi Nebuya in Kuroko's Basketball. His agency profile page describes him as a quote-unquote old man who can't stop playing video games so much that he forgets to eat and sleep, and a quote-unquote complete homebody who makes an effort to stay indoors. It has not been publicly shared what caused his death, but regardless, it is a tragedy for someone so young. And lastly, in the news today, the 4-panel manga Bocchi the Rock is back after a hiatus. The creator Aki Hamaji needed a break to recuperate from an unspecified physical health condition. The popular manga and anime series follows a high school girl named Hitori Goto, aka Bocchi, who has incredible guitar skills but also crippling anxiety. When a classmate begs her to join her struggling band, how is Bocchi gonna push past her extreme social phobia and become the musician she always wanted to be? Hopefully we can get a season 2 of the anime at some point, but at the very least, more of the manga is on the way. And that has been your anime news break. Stick around for the review of Journal with Witch coming up very soon on the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast.
In a world full of misinformation, AI deepfakes, and make-believe BS.
We thought you'd appreciate an update straight from the source.
Sure, times are tough, but there's hope.
Shonen Showdown is still standing, and our mission remains the same.
To rot your brain with the power of friendship.
The anime landscape is changing by the day, but we'll keep adapting.
And we appreciate your loyalty.
So keep listening and keep the faith.
Good things come to those who wait.
Only Shonen Showdown.
On the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast.
Andrew, would you be so kind to read us the trivia question, please?
If I must. In Journal with Witch, Asa's mom was going to give Asa her diary when Asa turned what age? And the answer to that question is 20 years old.
Oh my gosh, I thought I paused this. Sorry about that.
Really quick, because I feel like we didn't mention it at the top of the show. Listener choice is still going on.
Oh, great.
For spring of 2026. So I don't know if it will still be when this podcast gets put up officially on all your streaming platforms. But if you're watching live and haven't yet voted, go to AAAPodcast.com, click on the listener choice banner, and make sure you get your vote in, because it will be closing soon to figure out what 3 shows we will be adding to the review docket for this season. So plug, make your vote count.
All right, and I think we are ready for Mailbag.
Yeah.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
We have one here from Big Dino Sour. And they say, I happened upon your podcast last summer, and I must say that when my Wi-Fi was down for 2 months, the episodes that I had downloaded on my phone really helped fill the quiet afternoons while I was cleaning my old place. For that, I greatly thank your group. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask the cast if there was a certain anime series that got you back into anime altogether. To clarify, during college, I took a long hiatus from anime, either due to shifting interests or just plain old studying. I spent a long time away until one day there was a trifecta of 3 shows that I either happened upon by accident or just stupidly decided to play in the background. I can wholeheartedly admit that these 3 shows genuinely saved my anime interest and got me back into the fandom. Angel Beats, which was a random pick that I expected to be cheesy and dumb and made me cry. Fate Stay Night, I picked to play in the background because the aesthetic looked cool, instantly got interested by its lore. And Goblin Slayer, a friend told me how effed up it was. They were 100% correct. Until then, I just completely forgot how to say all words. However, until then, I had no idea how graphic and disturbing anime could be. So, was there ever a series that rekindled your anime flame during any time of dying interest? Mason.
No. Because my flame does not need rekindling. But what I will say is, as I've said before, Kill la Kill was probably the anime that most pulled me into the whirlpool of being an anime addict. Like, I had casually watched anime here and there throughout my time, but it wasn't until I was out of college, finally had my own place, tons of free time, that I watched this show and was like, oh, anime can be so much more. And it really just was the syringe that kicked off the addiction real bad. So that is a show that is to blame for everything, and thus we talk about it like this. But what do you got, Caroline?
Well, I don't think I had any like actual breaks from anime. Like there have been some lulls where I haven't been as eager to watch it all the time. I've been definitely kept into the whole fandom just because of this podcast. But yeah, so I haven't had any real breaks. But I can think of some shows that I got like super hyped from watching certain arcs of, like from JJK season 2 or My Hero Academia. It's that time where you are just binge watching like 10 episodes. You don't know when an episode started or when it ended. You have no idea where you are in this season. Your eyes are just glued to the screen, and that's all you've been doing all day. Those are those times where I'm just like, ooh, I gotta get my next fix. What's the next best thing? So I guess if I could answer that question, that's probably the closest I can get to it. Andrew.
I mean, in the over 30 years I've been watching anime, I guess I can't say I've taken any break longer than maybe a couple of weeks from watching something anime related in terms of like a show, an episode or something. It's really interesting. So there are those lulls, maybe a month at most, but like I will just sometimes be like, oh, I don't feel like watching the episode of the show I'm watching. But there's been so many random shows, I can't even name them all or even remember the names of, that I just sort of watched and I'm like, I'm just going to watch this entire season of anime now because so it's like one of those things where it's like, I get it. And it's really interesting because if you feel like something's just doing the same thing over and over again, you're always going to look for something that is the outlier or does something different. And like all the shows you guys have essentially mentioned sort of do something fresh in the genres that they kind of exist in for a lot of it. Like looking at Big Dinosaurus picks, like Angel Beats is a great show. I remember watching that when it aired. Fate's Day Night, I remember watching that when it aired. I watched fan subs of that show. I remember being into it. Goblin Slayer, I also remember when it aired, and not for good reasons. And that disturbing thing was, honestly, I'm gonna go on a Goblin Slayer rant for like 5 seconds. That show actually is ruined by that first episode, because that show is and I've only watched half of the show. It's actually just an okay, really interesting fantasy show, sort of like D&D-ish, in the vein of like Record of Lodoss War in a lot of ways with how it works. But that first episode is just so bad in what it does for that show that it's kind of unfortunate. I think I could have liked Goblin Slayer in another world if it didn't have that first episode. Anyway, that was my mini rant. But honestly, it's like if you feel like you're not into the show or into anything, your best bet is to find something, either the hotness that everybody is watching, especially if it's being watched by a bunch of people. Like Attack on Titan was a lot of people's reintroduction to anime, as much as that first season is okay and not as amazing as everyone says it is.
Stop it right now.
The first season has a lot of pacing issues, and a lot of my issues with people liking Attack on Titan is that they're like, anime used to be shitty until Attack on Titan. So I kind of have a little bit of a bias against Attack on Titan because, you know, all of the proto-tourists came into the anime world thinking Attack on Titan is like anime is good now because Attack on Titan exists, and I thought that was bullshit. Anyway,
Attack on Titan got me into anime, so who are you talking to?
Are you an anime tourist?
What do you define anime tourist?
Someone who's basically doesn't watch anime, comes into anime, thinks that when you started watching Attack on Titan, did you come and say, "Oh, I thought anime was garbage until Attack on Titan"?
Yeah.
Oh, then you're the person I'm talking about. You're terrible. You've grown as a person.
In college. You've grown as a person. School, there were people that were in my class that were like really into anime. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, come on, cartoons in Japanese? What? And then I got into Attack on Titan. I'm like, you know what? This is pretty cool.
And you've grown as a person, and I appreciate that about you.
All right. Well,
She came in as a tourist, but she lives here now.
I did.
Yeah.
I went on vacation, and I'm like, you know what? I could live here.
Now you're an expat.
And now I'm just an elitist. All right, let's head into our review for today. Journal with Witch. Mason, would you like to take lead on this one?
No, this is
I
mine.
could, but I
this is
marked
yours,
it as
Andrew?
as
This is
Andrew
my color.
because
I'm
he
sorry.
was
I did not know the color coding for today. Sorry.
blue is
Yeah, you're right.
always
We did kind of
Andrew.
fuck up. Did you not? Mason didn't put it on the episode. He didn't even put my name on the episode for the intros.
What are you talking about?
Introduction, Mason, Caroline, no Andrew. That's why Caroline.
Oh
didn't
yeah,
know my
no, we
color
don't
was
care
there.
about you.
Yeah, clearly. That's why.
I'm
you know what,
sorry,
Caroline, it's
when
not
I
your
do
fault. Mason didn't put my name on with
in
my
the
color.
show notes, I miss one person's name. I think
Yeah.
actually what happened, it was there, and Otaku was going to be on this episode.
Yeah.
And his name was in front of yours in the ordering, and I probably just deleted.
That doesn't make it better, Mason.
What's better, that you were never there, or that you were there and then I nuked you off the map? You were.
That I was
part
never
of the
there is actually
impression.
probably better.
Oh, okay. Well, then, yeah, you should feel bad. Take it away.
All right, so the show we're watching today is Ikoku Niki, or Journal with Witch. This is done by Studio Shuka, which I think is a newer studio. Speaking about studios that are going to probably end up in the merge. Actually,
no, they
not
came
really.
from Brainspace.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So
because they've done a
Brainspace-
bunch of shows. So they've done Natsume Yujincho, a bunch of Natsume Yujincho, and they did a bunch of the Durarara sequences, or Durer sequences. Sequences.
Yeah, so they were the part of Brainspace that wanted to stick with that stuff and kept on making it while Brainspace went on to do whatever Brainspace does, Inspector or whatever.
Yeah, and they also did the ONA for Shabake, or Shabake, as Mason likes to say. And they did a couple of movies, the Natsume Yujincho movies, essentially. So that's just me looking that up. And this is based off of a manga, and you can watch this on Crunchyroll. I don't think there's a dub for it, but I didn't check that. I only watched the subs anyway. So what is Journal with Witch about? So essentially, a 35-year-old novelist named Makio Kodai who didn't have a particularly good relationship with her sister, decides to not adopt but take in her sister's kid, aka her niece, after her sister and her husband die in a tragic car accident. And so essentially Makio decides to take who we mentioned in our trivia question, Asa, to essentially while she is essentially during this whole grieving period, and to take care of her until, she reaches age of maturity. And essentially the story follows sort of Asa's look at her grief in some ways and how you move on past grief, essentially. And that's like a bare bones of the show. Another interesting line, I was sort of like filtering around in my head sort of like a really interesting tagline for the show using some of the lines in the show. And I think the thing I came up with, and let me see if I can remember it, because I've been fiddling around with my head and I never wrote it down, because why would I write anything down in this day and age? It was, your feelings are your own, no matter what anybody else says. When a sudden tragedy occurs, there are no absolute truths that can be given, and that is one of the hardest parts about growing up, is learning that fact exists.
Okay.
So, what were your initial impressions on the show, Caroline?
Well, I heard a lot of talk about it, and I had high expectations, and I knew generally what it was about, but I was wondering how witches played a role in the story, so I was looking forward to that. Yeah, so, just high expectations. Nothing much other than that.
Mason?
I did not know much. I did not hear much dialogue or discussion going on. I did see a big fat Josei tag shining resplendent, and most importantly, it did not have the villainous tag attached to it like toilet paper on a shoe, which seems to bemoan all good Josei shows these days. But no,
we're just attacking Caroline all day today, aren't we?
I'm feeling a little attacked.
Josei fans, we're a little bit starved out here. And when I watched episode 1, many moons back at the start of 2026, when we were doing our impressions and stuff, I thought it brought a lot of potential to the table. and I was curious to see if it would hold my attention and positive association after a full 13 episodes. So I didn't really know what I was getting into, but I had my fingers crossed.
Yeah, I passed it. Me and Pancake passed it on the episode with Mitsugi, even though and Mitsugi kind of failed it because he thought it was boring. But I think me and Pancake saw something interesting in it. And so I watched the first 2 episodes because I think that was all that was out, or like the third episode was coming out soon because it came out pretty late into the impression cycle. It looked like it was an interesting, something different, something new. It makes sense that it's a josei. We don't talk a lot about joseis on this podcast, I guess, is I would say what I would feel like is josei in its normal sense. But the show felt like it was delving into topics that we don't really see much of in general, or is talked about much in anime in a slice of life context. You know, death is something that happens a lot in shonen, and a lot of it is pretty much, like swept under the rug after like a moment. It'll come up, but it sort of like gets moved on. So I was interested in looking at a show that from the first 2 episodes said it was going to delve into the grief of people and how people grieve differently, and how grief doesn't have its own timeline. And I thought that was an interesting concept to delve into for the podcast. So I was looking forward to watching it after the 2 episodes. Would you recommend the show, Mason?
I would. I think this is a pretty darn good show. For those who are new to anime, I guess, when we say josei, we're referring to shows with the audience in mind, you could say, of older women, as opposed to shoujo, which is for girls. So think of shows like Usagi Drop, which is a lot of similarities with a big parent figure taking in a small child figure, in this case, child being 15 years old, so not quite as young. That said, the fact that my notes don't have a pixel of text related to the plot of this show might concern some people, and if you are, slice of life shows are probably not your forte, and thus I probably would not recommend that show for you. However, I think the show is genuinely sweet, emotional, caring, funny. I believe these characters in the show reside in the same world as me, and not just for its cultural references that I can point to and be like, I know what Mad Max is. I know what Fried Green Tomatoes is. No, there's like a fundamental authenticity and life in the show that it captures very well, and it's all in as natural a manner as anime provides. So I think the show, for what it is extremely well executed. I do recommend it, and I really connected with it. So I would give it a thumbs up. And I'm going to tell you why in many more words after the spoilers.
Caroline.
Right. I felt nervous about this review coming into it because while I do think it is a thoughtful and well-made show, and it's not a bad show by any means, I just don't know if I connected with it as much as like other anime, and people definitely really connected with this one. So I felt like I was missing something because like, look at the rating on Mal. It is a great rating. I just unfortunately found myself getting bored here and there, especially when they talk so philosophically. It didn't feel like I'm watching people in real life. It felt like I'm watching an anime trying to be philosophical. Which is fine. It's just it didn't really feel real, especially when it's such a real story they're trying to tell. I enjoyed all the characters, but it just felt weird when the side characters, and especially like Asa's school, they were introduced pretty unceremoniously, but then they were given a storyline of some sort that just didn't feel warranted. It felt really random. Like the one guy in the baseball team. Like, I didn't realize that he would be having a story here. And what's the story in the end? He got bullied and he was going to leave the baseball team, and now he's not because he heard Asa sing or something. I don't know. And then there was the girl who wanted to be a doctor, but then found out that misogyny exists in male-dominated field. I'm not sure why she had to leave school because of that. When she's not directly involved in the scandal that happened, she just got pissed off and left. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Meanwhile, I just wanted them to dig more into Asa's mom and Makio's relationship with Kasamachi, because I want to learn more about Asa's mom, because she seemed to be a really complicated person I want to learn more about. And Makio's relationship with Kasamachi, it's very rare that we have like an adult relationship. And for a second there, I'm like, ooh, this is getting a little spicy. But it doesn't really go anywhere. And I just felt like it ended weirdly. It just out of the blue. And I don't know why it's called Journal with Witch. Where's the witch? Who's the witch? Where's
I was told there would be pointy hats.
Where is the magic? And so this is all, my personal hang-ups. And it just feels weird when everybody else seems to love it. So I feel like I would be a poser if I were to say I would totally recommend it. Even though it is a very decent show, it looks good. They do a lot of great things with it. I just don't know if I would come up to a person and say, you have to watch this show. So I feel a little guilty about that, but there it is.
Fair enough. And don't worry about it. I'm pretty sure I definitely have some answers for you for your questions.
Where are
I'm
the
pretty
witches,
sure
Andrew?
Mason probably does as well. I'll explain it when I can explain it it's actually really easy to explain. The witch is, so we're looking at a writer here, and basically the witch is a metaphor for her aunt, who is basically coded as autistic, but Japan doesn't really have a way of saying that because they don't really talk about autism in any particular way in Japan. So there's no way to decode it in that particular way. The way she talks sounds like someone who has some form of autism talks about not understanding emotions in some particular ways, or getting it in other ways, but not being able to understand other people's emotions. And so she comes off like, especially early on to the technically main character, Asa, she comes off as kind of like, in a way, kind of like this mysterious witch, not like a hag, but like a witch. Like she sort of casts a spell on her in a lot of ways with some of the things she says to her, but also she is kind of standoffish and she doesn't understand what she's doing. It's almost like everything she's doing is kind of, in a way, magic to her. And that's the implication I got from a lot of the storyline, I guess is the best way. And that's why it's called Journal with Witch, because she's writing a journal about all the things her aunt is saying. You find out in later episodes, which is not a spoiler, but like it's whatever. There's not many real spoilers in this, to be honest. But
the spoiler
so that's
is
why
life happens.
Yeah. So that's why it's called Journal with Witch, as just like a nice little perfunctory, cute title to give. But that's who your actual witch is. It's not about magic.
Yeah, because I think in the original Japanese title, it more directly translates to like foreign country, right? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Foreign country journal.
Yeah, the ones they have here is different country diary or foreign country's diary. Yeah, it's just like a nice way to say it. I think I prefer the title Journal with Witch, because I don't know if there's like a better way to
Yeah,
or
I feel
you
like
get
foreign
like this
lands
really
or something would express more of a journey of like physical travel.
Yeah, because she doesn't actually physically travel, right? It's just that like when she's sort of like reminiscing on this, which is sort of like the whole story is told from her point of view as an adult, looking back at herself as a child at that period of time, as you get from the narration. Anyway, all to say, would I recommend the show? As we get into a deeper discussion, and there's a lot of things we can talk about before the spoiler section, I feel like, as well. But I honestly would recommend the show for people looking for something a little bit deeper, but without feeling like it's getting too heavy. I think that it never actually gets super heavy into like the melodrama of the situation. It does happen, but it always feels like when the crying happens, it's usually preceded by some very beautiful moment of understanding, which I think makes it for a very interesting show to watch. There are a lot of discussions on feelings and philosophy, and it feels like it's capturing the essence of a slice of life in a lot of ways, but it's not your typical slice of life in a lot of ways as well. And I'm excluding the whole most slice of life taking place in high school kind of thing, right? And one of the things I found interesting about how the show works is that it is, especially after in the middle section of the show, a lot of the um a lot of it is very like jumbled in a lot of ways, which feels almost like the show itself decided it wanted to sort of give you the feeling of what a journaling could be like as well in how the show is presented. And essentially for a show with essentially depressing themes and kind of potentially dark subject matter, it's ultimately a predominantly hopeful show, and I think it's a pretty good watch. And so yeah, I would recommend it. Not to everybody. It's not for everybody, but I would definitely recommend it to people for sure. Are
Yeah.
there any things we would like to talk about or before we go to spoilers?
I
'Cause
will
I don't
say, if you are on the fence, give it a shot if it sounds interesting. But also, you can stick around and listen because we're really not going to. There's just very little to spoil during the show. So if you're on the fence, keep on listening. Or if you like the show, keep on listening. Or if you don't like the show, keep on listening. Just keep on listening,
If you want
folks.
to just hang out, keep on listening.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah,
It's a very, like I said, light spoilers. So play the drop, but it's more of a formality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
Okay. Where shall we hit first with the spoilers here?
Go ahead, Andrew.
So I guess we can address, honestly, we can address the sort of like the nature of the side characters. I feel like that's probably a pretty interesting discussion point, because I think that what happens with the side characters is brought up, I think Makio, the aunt, says it best, is nothing that happens is irrelevant to you, I think is a pretty good line that captures, right? So a lot of things that happen with the side characters may not feel directly tied, but it doesn't mean like it's not affected, or it doesn't affect the main character in some way, shape, or form, right? And this was most deliberately shown by her in the last couple of episodes, which is like, I guess, the big spoiler, with the girl who gets not rejected from medical school, but finds out that medical school might not even accept her. And I think what it is the accumulation or the culmination of in a weird way, in a funny way, Japanese society and the pressures that are put on to the kids from a young age to essentially do well. And she basically was someone who learned that I could be perfect, and because I was born the way I was born, I could still not get what I want. And that is, heck, for a teenager, that's world shattering. For an adult, it's also world shattering. Like, a lot of adults could be like, I did everything right, and I'm still can't get what I want because I was born a particular way, or I exist in a particular context. And so I can see why it would break someone like a teenager who was who is essentially top of her class, great grades, and to find out, because I'm a woman, you'll still like dock me for that, even though I did everything correct. I can see why she would want to go to school for a little bit there.
Yeah, so like I mean, now I really think about it, I could see it as like, oh, these stories are now just coming into play because Asa is just realizing that, she's feeling lonely because she feels like she's the only one dealing with earth-shattering problems. And then she suddenly realizes that these people around her are dealing with their own shit. And that kind of gives her some comfort in a way, maybe.
There's a lack of loneliness because even though she's going through her own struggle by herself, she's realizing everyone else is going through their own thing. For example, as Andrew mentioned, the girl Chio, she wants to be a doctor. She wants to go into this, but she's feeling like she's being excluded. The more unrelated story is of the baseball player who wants to play baseball. We see his desire to do so. He's good at it. He goes to the batting cages, but he's feeling excluded from the team from how they treat him like a gopher and not really respecting him as a person. And Asa herself, she wants to sing, she thinks, but she doesn't want to stand out. She feels excluded because her life experiences aren't providing her the lyrics she wants to be able to sing. Like, they're all folks who are going through something and are feeling repelled or pushed away in some manner. And yes, they don't matter, but they're all interconnected in their just general existence. It's a very not deep show, but what the show presents pretty early on is we are all individual wells of understanding and perception. Like, I can tell you I like this show, and Caroline can hear me say that, but she doesn't really know how I feel. She perceives my words and she perceives her idea of what those words mean. But really, we are isolated. We are all isolated entities that we can try to bridge that connection with words and discussion. But really, you are just you. You're in your own little tunnel, and that's something you need to live with. That you never really know how other people exist and feel. And that's on you.
Yeah.
And the show is peppered with lots of things about stuff like that. And I guess I feel like the big thing we need to talk about is the characters and why I think they work so well. And because that's the crux of the show. There is no big plot twist. There is no big thing. And we really start the story off with Asa, who is not just lost her parent figures, but she really doesn't know how adults act. Like, she's very in disbelief of how casual Makio is. And I like how Asa herself is sometimes prickly, squirmly, confused, like an impulsive teenager. And sometimes these things feel to come out of nowhere when all of a sudden, oh, she bought a laptop with someone else's money. But it's supposed to feel that way because this is not just Asa's story. It's just as much her story as it is Makio's and her POV as we branch down the detours, as now other characters come into play. So it's a rolling show of stone that's gathering the moss of all these little stories and environments of other characters, from, you know, the lawyer that comes to help, Kasamachi. Like, everyone just kind of grows into this climate. This show is an ecosystem of struggle and ideas and opinions, and it's just on us, the viewer, to kind of take it all in. And that's, you know, not always satisfying, but I found it rewarding.
Yeah, and
kind of rambled.
And I think one of the things about the show, and I think it's why it feels maybe unsatisfying, is because sometimes life is unsatisfying, and it is a story, but it does give us glimpses. Like, we get a flashback to the mother's POV in one of the episodes for a bit that I don't think any of the other characters actually ever see. It's just purely for the audience's own view, right? When Makio says at the beginning of the season she's not going to tell us why she hates the mother, it's not something that is you think it's a Chekhov's, you know, resolution for the end, but it really is something that's like Mason said, people are like tunnels of their own like feelings, and she's like, these are my feelings, you'll never understand it, and I have no interest in explaining it to you because
I definitely thought we were gonna get
setting it up to do it later.
Yeah, setting it up is the thing. Why is Asa sleeping? Why is the Makio just like her sister? Like, all these things are there, and the fact that they don't get resolved is part of the message. I mean, for one thing, how many times in anime have we seen a parent's bedroom? Like, barely a handful, let alone a parent's childhood bed. Like, the show just expresses everything and shows everything and really forces the viewer to come to grips, just like Asa has to, between the themes of choice and freedom and the baton pass of being a child to being an adolescence. Just, I don't know, the show brought in a lot of interesting ideas across a range of characters that I thought was really slick.
One thing I was of course, like the whole theme of the show being like, you can never understand other people's feelings. So if I don't understand something about the show, it's like, oh, that was intentional. I'm like, no,
it was. There you go. Now
I hate that. It's so stupid.
I'm not. Well, it's not that it's not intentional. Is that, and it's not. In a way, it works for a show like this because I think it is trying to, as closely as it can, accurately and like more realistically portray people. In some way, shape, or form. And these are still kind of like niche people to begin with in a lot of ways. This isn't your typical person, but I think it's an actual. I think the show sets up its thesis in a lot of interest in a lot of interesting ways, and I think it's not that Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean it was also by design. I think this is a show you might look back on in 10 years and have a completely different understanding of it as well, in a lot of ways.
Well,
So
so back to what I was going to bring up. So Asa, one of her biggest things that she's dealing with in the show is the question of whether or not she was actually loved by her mother. And at first I'm like, oh, okay. But everything showed me that her mom may not have been the coolest mom, but she's a pretty normal mom. Like, yeah, she didn't like your haircut. My mom wouldn't like that haircut either. She would be like, why are you wearing black nail polish? Or something like that. Not that I did. My little sister did. But that's just to say that, Asa's mom is pretty normal. So I'm not sure why she was freaking out so much about whether or not her mom loved her. Because it generally seemed like she absolutely did love her daughter. It's her father that is the biggest just blob of nothing. That's the one I would be concerned about. It's like, my father never loved me. Obviously, because he's like nothing in this show.
So I would actually, I would say actually that is probably I would actually say the bigger theme of what the show is trying to wrestle with Asa is like, what does she actually want to do? And can she do what she wants to do? Because she's never, in her own ways, felt like she could ever do what she wanted. Because she's always essentially performed for her mother, essentially. And I think she questions whether her mother loved her in parts, but I feel like that's part of the larger issue of like, what do I actually want, right? What do I actually want? Because people keep telling me I can do whatever, but I don't get what that means. What does that actually mean?
Forget trying to understand other people. What do you want to be? Who is the you want to be? Like, that's already a tricky enough question, let alone what other people think.
And I love that when they're the in the later episodes when she's on the Zoom call with her friend and she says basically, like, I feel like I'm being this type of person. Is being this type of person worth it? And the person just laughs. I'm like, you're such a stupid teenager. And she's like, I don't get to laugh.
Stands out. Who cares? You're not a type. No one is definable. You are you. What do you want to do?
And then she just breaks out into song for no reason. I'm like, that's cringy.
I want to sing.
Yeah, she's a teenager.
I'm going to sing now.
Teenagers are cringy. Teenagers are so cringy. Honestly, I will admit her character does grate on me sometimes. And then every time it does grate on me, I don't remember. It's like, oh, her parents died. I remember, oh, she's a teenager, and teenagers are annoying. Like I remember how annoying I was as a teenager. Like, and then I was able to like move past. I'm like, yeah, you're being this annoying because you're a teenager and you just actually don't understand. You do not have enough life experience, and I get that, so I'm willing to forgive it.
The only time I didn't like Asa was when she ditches school to go drink bubble tea. And they see her drinking bubble tea outside the shop. And they arrive, this group of people looking for her, order, and then are drinking their own bubble tea. She's barely made any progress in her bubble tea. You're gonna drink the bubble tea. It's going to get soggy. Come on.
I really like that part. That was a good way. It's like...
Oh, it was so well done. The editing. I mean, I'm going to talk about the visuals later, but I feel like, and this is maybe something Caroline touched on, is I thought the dialogue, besides the voice acting, which was phenomenal, I thought the dialogue was very naturalistic and good. I liked it a lot. It wasn't very melodrama-y. It just felt authentic. The issue is a lot of it is narrated from a future state of 10 years plus Asa, reflecting with a bit more flowery language that kind of obfuscates what's actually going on and is a little vagary in its description of, oh, what's the big philosophical theme of this conversation? I felt like that wasn't quite as good. But overall, I liked Asa. I liked all the characters, honestly. And I like them bouncing off one another. Go ahead.
Her friend, Emery, which is funny to say because we have Emery on the podcast.
We have Emery at home.
Yeah. She was interesting in that, like, I liked her, but I also didn't like her because of like this one scene where she's talking to her girlfriend, and she is she's complaining about Asa and kind of acting as if she's only her friend because of the tragedy that happened. And it's like she's acting like she doesn't want to be her friend anymore, and yet we never get any other indication of that being the case.
I got it less of she didn't want to be Asa's friend, but she felt this obligation now.
Yes.
Like, I like Asa, she's my friend, but now I can't not be her friend because of the tragedy she went through. Like, that links us. I need to be there for her. And I think that's very valid.
Up again.
Because they're friends. It doesn't need to be a thing. She is going to carry, in some small part of her, she is going to carry that weight of, this is a friend of mine who lost her parents, and I am always going to need to be there for her. Like, it's not a good feeling, but it doesn't need to be brought up.
And you know what? The aunt actually explains, it's like, so why don't people pick up the phone sometimes? And she's like, well, to protect their peace, sometimes they just don't want to have to, answer. And I think a lot of it's like Mason said, I think it's very much a story of, I don't think she didn't want to be her friend anymore. I think it's one of those things that they were probably, if it wasn't for the fact that her parents died, there was a very strong possibility they might have grown apart as friends, as friendships naturally sometimes grow apart. But she also feels like she probably, there was a little bit of resentment that she wasn't allowed to grow apart. And I think part of it is also that she may have had a crush on Asa at one point, and Asa is so dense that she kind of also may partially resent that about her, but now she's happy with her girlfriend. But
I mean, her girlfriend is kind of Hanazawa, like, of course.
Yeah. So I think there's some resentment there, because it goes back to that conversation. It's like, so this boy asked you out, and it's kind of funny how she's just like, yeah, I don't really care. And the boy just he's so into her because she rejected him, basically, that even towards the end of that first year, it's like, I just need to know why. And she's like, I'm just not into you that way. She just walks away. And then she just goes off laughing with her friends, because it's like, and he's just like, what the fuck? She doesn't need to tell them she's a lesbian.
And speaking of Emery, like, I like that Asa isn't the core nucleus. Like, Emery is the one who's friends with Chio and this guy and this person. Like, she's kind of the social butterfly. Asa's just one of the prongs. So, like, when you go into everything is interrelated, like, a lot of these side stories we got aren't really tied to Asa, but, like, two chains of Emery Bacon, whatever you want to call it. Like, there's just you can see how this network of friendships is set up. And I don't know, I thought it just felt like how things are in the world, and it made me believe the environment that all these people are in. So,
like, can we talk for a second about the school?
You're gonna say the ugly school uniforms?
Oh no, well, the school uniforms were ugly. The middle school just announcing to the entire student body that your parents have died, and they don't even ask you about that first. They don't even talk to her. Say, like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, I realize I'm looking at this from the lens of, like, Western education, but holy shit, that is just probably the worst thing you could do to a person.
I do feel like episode 1 was just a little bit choppy in getting things going. And in regards to that, like, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. And Asa was justifiably a little bit upset about it, but also, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot more we could talk about the show, I think, in terms of, like, plot points or, like, character points. Is there any quick things you want to say in that regards before we just, like, move on to the visual language of the show, I think, so we can get some of that in before we, because, so we don't run too long either.
Yeah.
I really liked how balanced Asa's story was with Makio's, because we got to see a lot more of normal adult life in anime, which is great, especially because she is a little bit more of an interest, like with, she's a very neurodivergent character, perhaps. And, her relationship.
I think they say that in the show.
Yeah. And her relationship with, I keep on forgetting how to say his name, Kasamachi, I thought was great. Really wanted them to get back together at the end, though.
They were kind of leaning into that.
I hope so. It's just, you never know how other people feel, Mason.
It's true. No, Kasamachi, Tono, both of them like being involved in their lives. I loved Makio's side of the story, her perspective in a lot of ways, her conversations, how her flowery language that she was like teaching Asa like turned into the language she used in the future to like narrate herself. Like, oh, there were so many deep, enriching things that one character would tell to the other, and then that would then flow to someone else. Just the flow of ideas and opinions was magical. I think Andrew kind of alluded to it, where sometimes the show will have like multiple conversations going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a bit much. Episode 7 and 9, they do that where
There was like
three different groups of
scenes.
characters are talking in like different times about completely different things just to jazz it up, and it feels a bit popcorny, but overall it worked. It helped keep things moving and not feel too reverse shot for 20 minutes, but it wasn't always the best. But I don't know, I liked it.
And I was totally expecting Emery's mom to be like the evil character, but no, she's just a character that really could use a friend to go and have a beer with.
Everyone just is out there with their own concerns and struggles and joys, and that's beautiful. But let's talk about some visual. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's slice of life in like the most pure sense of actually, and so yeah.
You know what? We got a lot of slices of life. Put that together, you get a whole pizza pie, and that's what the show is.
I like that the show itself. It does do a lot of shot reverse shot, but it never felt stale a lot of the time, because I guess it felt like they were always sort of, like you said, sort of doing different angles with it, and nothing ever felt super static, even though there was a lot of static shots. It's kind of interesting.
I mean,
when
visually,
I think back on it,
it's not going to blow anyone's socks off, but it doesn't need to. But it's also consistently grounded and artful. Like, there's so many little motifs that it slightly puts in. Like, for example, they go back to visit Asa's previous home in episode 3, and there's a whole use of like reflections and mirrors and elevator doors and pickle jars. They like use a lot of neat artistic things to not show things as like, oh, this actually is all about this. The pickle jar represents her guilt. Like, no, but it makes you feel the tactile world that they live in. Makio and Kasamachi's, like, when they go on the date, like, they show their urges, where they show his shoes on the front door when he's talking. Then they show her wine on the table when she's talking. Then his alcohol beer can joins in when he starts talking again. It's not like earth-shattering stuff, but they show a ton of consideration for what they're presenting. And this show felt personal to me for a lot of reasons. A lot of people in my life I can see in these characters. But for example, I have this tea here. That's going to be super blurry. Like, this exact tea container was in episode 6. Like, this is from France. Like, they changed the name and they changed the date on the top. But like, go back and watch. Like, this exact tea container is in. Like, I connected with the show on so many things because they made this world that was so inviting. And one last thing about the visuals that I thought was really good. I thought they were going to use like the sandy Mind Palace environment a lot more.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
It was pretty sparse. I don't mind that it wasn't. I want to give it points though for not being a foot fetish show. With all the girls walking through sand on the beach, like, they could have shown a lot more toes.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. They were always in socks or shoes, and I respect that very much.
Yeah, I did like the desert motif, and I did like that it was used sparingly.
Yep, I agree.
A lot of the time.
I thought they used it way more in the beginning than they did at the end, which is my problem, because I feel like it should be pretty consistent on when they do use it.
I think they used it at the beginning when she was in the most of her desolation and loneliness, and then they used it at the end as she kind of grew the flower out of the cactus and like the watering metaphor. Like, it was, I don't think I wanted to see more of it, and I was fine with how much they used to present the idea. Though I will say, at the very end of the show, the very, very, very end, when she's doing her performance, actually not when she's doing the performance, when grown-up Emery is showing the video she took of Asa's performance, Makio, the guitar player, like, glitches out for a second. And I was like, oh, you made it almost to the end of the
I
show
didn't see that. I didn't
with
see that.
phenomenal visuals, and you just
Oh, I didn't see that. And I noticed.
I missed
So-
that.
like she like
To be
looks
fair, I
up,
was watching it on my phone, so
and then she like quickly like looks down in a way. Maybe it was just the version I was watching, so it could be wrong. But visuals are great. Music, I mean, it's Ushio.
I know.
The voice acting was phenomenal.
The thing that I have grown to be very proud of is knowing almost immediately when it's Ushio Kensuke. I freaking love this man. He cannot miss. He's just in everything that's good with music.
Yeah, he's
It's
he
that
don't miss.
muted piano that's like his signature in his music.
would you like to roll that into your rating, Mason?
What? Oh, I know it's Ushio. You don't think I know this?
No, I
is
meant
Ushio?
I said I was trying to get your rating.
Oh,
trying to
we
wrap
wanna
things
win
up.
for the show. Yeah, we've been going.
Well,
for a
I mean,
while.
we could, but I feel like we've been running a little bit closer to length, and I feel like we've talked
Yeah.
a lot about a lot of the show, and it's a solid show. If even with all the, I wouldn't even say nitpicks. I mean, like even with all the questions that are brought up, it's a fairly recommended show. I don't think it's one of the few times I think we've basically of all. It's not been one side versus the other for.
I know. Usually, Andrew and I are way more combative. Okay, I'll score this thing. This show is eloquently well done. It is choppy. Just very small things. Episode 8 starts off with too much of a recap. Like, come on. I'm not a weekly watcher.
I thought the same. I'm like, wait a minute, did I watch the show already? This episode?
No, they did like a full 3 minutes of like episode 7. I'm like, okay, come on. That said, mostly small nitpicks aside, I think the show is very solid. If you like slice of life shows, don't miss out on this one. Although there's no supernatural witchy element, I think the show brings a lot of interesting ideas to the table and things that I think I will take with me moving on. That said, I'm going to give it 4 striped cups out of 5. And but it felt really personal and I liked it. So check it out.
Caroline?
Again, I feel very awkward with my rating because it is a good show. It's just I don't know if it did enough for me. I expected it to be a bit cleaner. I expected it to, hit certain points and expand on certain things, and by the end it's apparently the point that nothing will ever be fully explained to its satisfying conclusion, which I mean I freaking hate when anime does that. Like, it just takes away any valid criticisms that you can give it. But at the same time, I loved the music. It looks good, the characters are good, and there was so much potential here for me personally to really, really, really like this show. But at the end of the day, I don't really feel comfortable with giving it any more than maybe 3 screw this out of 5.
Yeah.
Is that 3 you said?
Fair enough.
Yeah. I was going back and forth between a 3 and a 3.5, but I think at the end of the day, it's closer to a 3.
Okay. Yeah, so the show is interesting to me because in a lot of ways, I think I resonated a lot more with the show than I maybe would have in the past. I think I could look at it and I may have been somewhere probably more between Mason and Caroline in the past. But I did lose a friend a little bit over a year and a half ago, pretty out of nowhere. And it's sort of interesting. I find one of the reasons I was a little bit like hesitant with the show also a little bit to watch, because I was afraid it was going to go a lot deeper into the melodrama. And I think one of the things I liked about it was that the show was ultimately a lot more hopeful and a lot more philosophical in how it looked at grief. I think one of like my favorite moments of the show that I think is emblematic of the theme of the show is when Asa reads a portion or a paragraph or a page from one of Makio's books that talks about all the feelings she's feeling, and she just doesn't understand. How can you write this and say you not understand what I'm going through, and then breaks down and finally like processes the fact that her parents are gone. And I thought that was like just like a deeply beautiful moment. And I like that I like that this was a slice of life that was not only about teenagers and trying to find love, that it was just like an all-encompassing slice of life. And I feel like we need more anime like this that just feels sort of not aimless, but not so heavily driven by the plot, but explores characters in like a fairly deep way, but without having to explain all of it in as way as well. And sometimes I'd love for some explanations, but I feel like in a way it's great that they, or maybe I guess the best way is like that they don't have to explain each other to each other, but you can always sort of understand where they're coming from. I feel like this was a really fun show in a lot of weird ways that I would not like say I would normally say is fun. And the fact that Mason and I even agree as much as we do is testament to how crazy the show is, I guess, is the best way. And I was originally going to give it a 4 out of 5, but I have to outdo Mason. Okay. And I'm going to give it a 4.5.
That's what I'm talking
5.
about.
It's not going to get a 5. I don't think the show is perfect.
No.
It's no Rakugo Shinju where the show essentially comes into this perfect being when you look at it as a whole instead of its like separate parts. The show doesn't come back to that. Like, it doesn't fully wrap around and say wraps everything a nice neat bow, and that's not why it's not perfect. But I also feel like if you want to sort of be emblematic of the show, not giving it a perfect score is almost giving it a perfect score in a lot of ways. So it's gonna get 4.5 motivational songs that uplift the spirits of teenagers who are listening to it, not intentionally at first.
All right.
Yeah, it is overall a very positive show. Not just our, scores of it, but it was very uplifting in a lot of ways.
Like,
so
should I give it a 3.5? I don't know. 3 sounds really.
You should think
good.
harder. Give it a 3.5.
You should. You should. But it's your score. You can say how you feel. I honestly think, Caroline, and I think if you do ever come back to the show in 10 years, which I don't think you will, I think you would probably have a lot more of a different view on it. I think
it doesn't change the average score whether you give it a 3 or 3.5. Either way, it's going to get a 4.
I know.
So.
It's just like when I look at it and if I were to compare it to other 3s I have given, it's probably far better than the other 3s.
Let's see what other 3s Caroline has given
Mason and his sheet
as of late. Let's see. My Happy Marriage season 2.
Oh, come on.
Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. You're pretty, not too many 3s here. Oh, I just passed one. Undead Girl Murder Farce. Okay, we've been too far back.
Okay, I think this is deserving of 3.5. Production value.
Yay!
Let's go.
Peer pressure.
Ushio comes through in the clutch.
What was the theme of this anime? Is like your feelings are your own, nobody else's. I just completely ignored that. Okay, so
what do we have on the docket for next week's?
Next week, I believe it's what's it called? Sentence Via Hero. Yeah.
That's right.
I'm kind of bummed I won't be on that one.
Otaku, and Raggedy. We're going to be talking Crunchyroll Awards. We're talking Sentence to Be a Hero, and whatever else we can get up to. So it should be a fun one as well. But I thought this episode was an absolute blast. Thank you, both of you. And
we're going to continue the blast when we do Hobby Addicts and an after party. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about for after party, but we'll figure it out. In the meantime, as I'm losing my voice for some reason, you can please join us on Discord. We would be happy to have you. And you can join us for Anime Club this Wednesday when we're recording it, but every other Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, yay. And with that, I say we leave the people here. What do you guys say about that?
Thanks for hanging out.
See you guys.
AAAPodcast.com. Don't forget to vote. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.